Hearing things that he'd been dropped in the ring in the gym and stuff like that, but that's okay too, because I took a couple spills, little slips in the ring in the gym.
That's only sparring. If you get dropped in sparring, it means you're learning. Tomorrow morning you don't get dropped in the same shot. So him getting dropped in sparring, that means he's learning on the job. So it's okay. Who cares? Alexander usually gets dropped in sparring, but he's learning on the job. You'd rather do your mistakes in the gym than do them when you're...
John Fury got dropped in sparring, knocked clean down before his fight with Carl Froch even happens. The man who talks the loudest just hit the floor hardest. If he can't survive the gym, what happens when Froch actually lands?
Good shit, good.
Even Frank Warren, one of the most connected men in boxing, heard nothing about this. That tells you everything. When the promoter doesn't know, it means someone was desperately trying to keep this quiet. Fury got dropped and the camp went silent fast.
Heard that Moses Atama was dropped in sparring. Had that rumor fallen your ears at all?
No, it's the first I've heard of that. News to me. But people get dropped in sparring, but generally is news to me. I've not heard that before.
Derek Chisora makes a fair point. Sparring is school, not a war. You make mistakes on purpose so you don't make them in the real fight. But here's the difference. Chisora is talking about trained professionals learning their craft. John Fury is a 61-year-old man preparing to face a world-class former champion. Getting dropped in sparring at that age against Froch waiting on the other side hits completely different. That's not a lesson, that's a warning sign nobody should ignore.
Sparring, you're there to learn. So the guy you knocked out in sparring, he's understand, okay, I did this silly move, that's how I got knocked out. So I'm gonna have to stop doing these silly moves so I don't get knocked out.
Shannon Briggs heard it too. And notice he said, a couple of times, not once, multiple times down in the gym. Even Briggs, who's always hyping fighters up, couldn't fully dismiss it. He tried to soften the blow with the gym don't win fights. But when you're 61 and heading into a professional boxing match, hitting the floor repeatedly in training is not something you just brush off like it's nothing.
Sparring's really for learning, but you can also learn to take someone out, so it's a myth.
Duke McKenzie said it straight. Froch ironed out George Groves. George Groves, a world-class professional in his prime. Now imagine that same heavy right hand landing on John Fury, who just got dropped in sparring by someone who isn't even Carl Froch. Duke is right. Froch carries that spite and venom no matter how long he's been out. One shot lands clean, and this whole thing could be over before Fury even knows what happened. Adam Smith wouldn't back against Froch, and this man covers boxing for a living. He sees it up close better than almost anyone. He respects Fury's toughness, the bare knuckle background, the size, the sheer madness of the man. But when it comes down to a boxing ring with gloves on, Froch's skill level is on a completely different planet. Entertainment is one thing. Reality inside those ropes is another story altogether.
And he's got to pull something out of the bag to make sure he's still fighting this time next year, still fighting the year after that, still fighting, he's still sticking it out. So maybe he's got to get his arse kicked for a while by people who don't want kicking his arse. But if you love this game enough, you'll stick around.
I tell you what, I did also notice, you'd be amazed how many fans are kind of warming to him and kind of liking his, what's the word now, the resilience. And obviously he's the way he is.
Johnny Nelson is calling it exactly as it is. Fury talked so big that he accidentally killed the fight himself. 2.5 million turned into 5, turned into 10, and suddenly Carl Froch is walking away laughing. This is what happens when you let your mouth write checks your career can't cash. Now Fury is dropping in sparring and pricing himself out of the very fight he was screaming for. The whole thing is becoming a circus and not the entertaining kind.
John talked himself into a situation where what if Calais says, well, I'll give you X, Y, Z to fight Carl Froch. So I gather the last amount was 2.5 million. And I'm thinking, and Carl's like, and the thing is, I spoke to Carl last week at the Ricky thing and he said, you know what, Johnny? He said, my man's pricing himself out of it. You know, if we say, yeah, it'll be all right, give me 5 million. All right, give me 10 million. He's priced himself out of it. I like John. I get John. I like Carl. Carl's my boy. I respect him. It won't happen. It's just, I know it's bad, but it's fun watching these guys wind each other up. But it won't happen. And Darren Till is the most dangerous out of all of them, because Darren Till's still in a fighting age, and can put himself in a position to say, "Come on, Tommy, let's have it." Where Tommy can't avoid him, and Tommy's being smart, thinking, "I'm going to take these fights and make a lot of money and be a celebrity."
Froch said he wouldn't want to punch Fury in the face, and that's not weakness. That's the confidence of a man who knows exactly how dangerous he is. He's not scared. He's almost feeling sorry for Fury. 10 years retired, and Froch still sees the levels so clearly. But the moment he said, "if it makes business sense," that door is still open, and Fury is standing right outside it, freshly dropped in sparring, begging for someone to let him in.
Set and starts getting silly and starts saying, "Listen, I'll fight you." Starts calling me out. So just so we're clear, I didn't call John Fury out, and I've got no intentions of fighting John Fury. But like he said, if it makes business sense, so if something stupid could happen, so for him, he wants to get paid. For me, I'd like to just set the record straight. Yeah. But I've said, look.
You have to respect the madness of John Fury. Got dropped in sparring and came out screaming louder than ever. Sign the contract. Let's go. At 61, he genuinely does not care. That kind of fearless attitude is either the most inspiring thing you've ever seen or the most dangerous. Either way, Fury is absolutely all in.
Whoa, stop! Stop! Come on!
Good shit, good.
Liam Smith seeing straight through it. Fury wants the fight, but Froch called his bluff, and it made things uncomfortable. The moment Carl started getting serious, suddenly the energy shifted. And Smith is right about one thing. When John Fury starts jumping out of rings and threatening to choke people, it stops being boxing promotion and starts being something else entirely. That's not a recipe for a fight getting made. That's a recipe for the whole thing falling apart.
Look, Daniel does do anything to drum something up. I think he does want the Froch fight. I think Froch just called him a little bit on YouTube. But, you know, I think Carl got uncomfortable there. Darren's a fucking lunatic. So last thing he wants, Darren still jumping out the ring to you, fucking threatening to choke you and all that, you know what I mean? So it's the last thing I'd want anyway. So fucking I think Carl just got off rather than have the aggro of, you know, Darren still in front of him, screaming, shouting and spitting in his face.
Darren Till is genuinely lost in this whole situation, and honestly, same. Nobody knows what the rules are anymore. Fury tells people to go wild, they go wild. Then suddenly it's, we can't do that. Till put it perfectly, are we actually having this fight or not? Because you can't keep winding people up and then pulling the handbrake every time it gets real. Either commit to the chaos or stop pretending.
It's like my last fight with Luke, it was all, you know, they do this, do that, and then when I go too far, it's like, oh mate, we can't do that. Well, I'm going, well, what do you want from me? Do you want, are we having it or not?
Nelson nailed it. Fury achieved the mission. Everyone is talking about him. That's the whole game. Say something outrageous, get the world watching, and now even getting dropped in sparring becomes headline news instead of embarrassment. But Nelson is also warning you, Froch is a straight shooter. What Carl says is what Carl means. And if Carl says no, it's no. No amount of noise from Fury changes that.
To get his attention, to get everybody's attention, and then he didn't need to do any more because that's what everybody's talking about. I think Carl is a straight shooter, so Carl will stay how he is.
Dominic Ingle just gave you the most chilling description of John Fury in 10 seconds flat. Wouldn't even train, just show up and fight. That's not a boxing career, that's a lifestyle. The man has zero fear in his body and arguably the same amount of preparation. Against most people in a pub or a barn, that works. But against Carl Froch, a man who trained his entire life to be elite, walking in undertrained and undertreated could be a very, very painful experience.
I love this, dude. I love that John is just so confident in himself. He would gas inside of 2 rounds. 2 rounds, but if he even made it 2 rounds with Carl Froch, he would gas probably in the first round. He's 60 years old. I'm not saying he couldn't hobble about for 4 rounds or something, but he would be gassed inside of 2. Because the way that John runs...
Dominic Ingle is not sugarcoating it. Froch flattens him. Full stop. And Engel knows fighters. He's trained world champions. He's seen what a real puncher does to someone who comes in wild and unprepared. The fact that even people who respect Fury are saying he gets flattened should tell you everything. But Engel also said something smart. The debate itself keeps the fight alive. As long as people are arguing, the money conversation stays open.
When I was over in Turkey, I spoke to Shannon Briggs and Jarrell Miller. They both told me that there was a rumor that Moses Tama was dropped in sparring. Had you heard that rumor?
It's good because that's only sparring. If you get dropped in sparring, it means you're learning. Tomorrow morning you don't get dropped in the same shot. So him getting dropped in sparring, that means he's learning.
Joe Egan took this to a completely different level. This isn't about entertainment money or boxing exhibitions anymore. This is personal. He called Fury a coward to his face, said he's shying away, said he'd walk out of the barn. Barn or ring, Egan doesn't care. The passion here is real and the anger is real. And the fact that even Joe Egan is now calling out John Fury shows just how far this whole situation has spiraled out of control. Everyone wants a piece, and Fury started all of it.
Because he called me a fake and a fraud, fake hard man. I will show him how much of a fake hard man I am. He's the one that's shying away.
John Fury got dropped in sparring. Frank Warren didn't know. Shannon Briggs heard it happened multiple times. Duke McKenzie says Froch's right hand would be devastating. Johnny Nelson says the fight is priced out. Liam Smith says Carl called his bluff. Dominic Ingle says Froch flattens him. The weight concept says he gasses in round 1. And after all of that, Fury is still standing there screaming, "Sign the contract." That's either the definition of insane courage or complete delusion. But here's the truth. This is the most entertaining non-fight in boxing right now. And if you've been watching till the end, you already know which side you're on. Drop your prediction in the comments right now. Does John Fury survive one round with Carl Froch? Or does he get ironed out like George Groves? Smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you in the next one.